Chat with Sierra. If you're just tuning in for the first time this season, you might not know that we are doing a series where I'm taking time to really unpack the patterns that have emerged 100 conversations later. After doing so many episodes every week, after being on this podcast for a couple of years, I've noticed a lot of patterns across all of the different types of guests that I've had, across all my clients as well, to be completely honest. So it doesn't matter what industry someone's in, what experience or background they might have, how long they've been in leadership, their personality, their leadership style. The patterns that I've discovered and I'm sharing across this season are things that I have discovered that really apply to everyone that I've spoken with. And so today's topic, we're focusing in on confidence, the fact that confidence comes through action. If you would have asked me years ago, I would have had no idea that this was the case. I would have believed that someone is either confident, they are that way, or they're not. Not that you have to take action in order to gain the confidence to begin with. So I'll explain with my own personal example. So back when I first started teaching, I remembered being a student teacher in college, and I actually was able to do a quote-unquote internship at, North Elementary School. It was located in Morgantown, West Virginia. And I remember going into that school for the first time and really shadowing other teachers to begin with at different grade levels. I spent some time in a kindergarten classroom. I spent some time with fifth graders, and really that's where I did a lot of my student teaching, where the teacher actually stepped aside and let me plan and deliver content. But to be completely honest, when I walked into those classrooms, I was extremely nervous about even communicating with the kids. Kids are where I was most comfortable, but I still wasn't really confident that I was giving them what they needed to know or learn. I was more confident that I knew how to build a relationship with them more than anything. But over time, every time I built new curriculum, I went into the classroom, I spent time in front of students, I give them a pre-assessment, a post-assessment, I saw that they were growing, they were improving, I gained confidence. But what I really had a hard time with was having conversations with parents. And so there was a period of time where I was so nervous before every parent-teacher conference or before every opportunity to get up in front of a parent audience and speak about a topic. It was extremely uncomfortable for me, and I felt a lot of pressure to make sure that they knew that their child was my priority, that I was doing everything in my power to give them the tools that they needed to be successful. That was a lot of pressure. And what if I didn't meet their test, meet their standard? Because we all know, like everybody's kid, they think that their kid is the best kid ever, and they want the best for them. So what if I wasn't enough? And then over time, I slowly got more confident that when I met with parents that I knew I had given my best in that classroom. I had documentation to show it. And so confidence built over time. And then it became, my goodness, Sierra, I need you to start leading this team of teachers, or I need you to get up in front of an audience of all the teachers in the district and teach them this concept. Teach the teachers how to teach, right? Oh my goodness, I remember standing up there and shaking and sweating, and who am I to be the one to deliver this content? Who am I to tell all of these other teachers what to be doing in their classroom? Many of them have been teaching longer than me. And so I didn't have a lot of confidence in that area. And that might be the one that took me the longest to get confidence in, because it's one thing to feel confident with your own students every single day. You go in, you've built a relationship and you know them, but to stand in front of an entire group of people who haven't been in your classroom, don't know much about you, and to deliver that content with the confidence was really hard. So as you can see, what I lacked confidence in kept changing over time. And it changed over time as I took action and gained more experience. If I had just had the mindset of, you're either born with the confidence and you're a confident person, or you don't have it and you never will, things would have been very different from me. I would not have continued to branch out and try new things. I would have not, really become effective in communicating with parents. And to be honest, I still see some teachers today really struggle with that, really struggle with the confidence to state, here's what I do in my classroom to support your child. I can answer any questions you have. I'm here to support them and go over the top. I still have seen teachers that struggle with that. So I know that it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice to overcome. So that's just one example of my own personal experience. And for comparison's sake, I've met plenty of teachers over time who really didn't gain that much confidence when it came to communicating with parents or getting out there and mentoring other teachers as to what to do, because they never pushed themselves to keep developing that skill. They stayed pretty stagnant. And so this is something that I can see and apply to everything that I do. Being an entrepreneur, starting a business, learning about leadership in general, reaching out to other people in my field, learning alongside them, interviewing them, all of these things that I do, honestly, the very first time I do them, I'm terrified. I lose sleep over it. I'm shaking, I'm sweating, whatever it may be. However, my body physically responds to that lack of confidence. Guess what? It gets easier over time. It should have been obvious to me before, but I think it took all of this time and all of these conversations with a variety of people in this podcast to really realize that. And I realized that it is a misconception that many have. I know that others believe the same as me, which is I hear people say all the time, I'm just not a confident person. I'm not very confident. And I always come along behind them and I end that sentence for them with yet, right? I'm not confident yet, but I can be. I'm not good at that yet, but I can be. So I feel like we have this trap where we're not confident to release something, or we're not confident enough to try something new, and we keep waiting and waiting for the confidence to come. Because if we spend more time planning it out, we dedicate ourselves to something long enough, maybe the confidence will come, but we're preparing in the background. We're not actually doing the thing that it takes to become confident. So if you're telling yourself, I'll start when I'm more confident, we need to switch up your thinking and consider maybe it's that you'll be more confident once you start. That's a completely different mindset. That's something that we kind of have to shift to really start seeing a change. And if I think about it, even in my most recent episodes, Holly Bertone talked about really choosing to focus on herself before burnout made the decision for her, and really gaining the confidence to take a leap outside of the career field that she had and apply a skill set that she gained by being in the FBI to something that she was really passionate about and she thought she could help others with. Or Pat Ryan coming in and talking about how he continues to have conversations with people who think differently than him. That stretches him, that exposes him to different perspectives, and he learns so much through that. Or Allison learning about the importance of authenticity rather than trying to impress others. She learned to be herself. She gained confidence in who she was, what it meant to be authentically Allison, rather than being who everyone else wanted her to be. All of these people gained confidence by getting out there and doing the hard thing. It's interesting because some of these topics, when I go to plan one to talk about, in the back of my head, I think, man, I feel like I've already talked about that before. I don't know if I want to talk about that topic because I feel like I've already covered it. But if I think about it, I don't even remember where I've covered it because it's naturally come up in conversations. It's come up in workshops. I've written about it in newsletters. I've talked about this topic in my Aspire to Achieve monthly group session. These tips and tricks come up all the time. These topics come up all the time. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I realize it takes a while for these things to really stick. And one audience might not be the same as another. So if this podcast is new to you, that's great. This is a great episode to drop in on because I feel like it applies to anyone and everyone. But if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, hopefully discussing the importance of taking action to gain confidence, this episode kind of synthesizes that learning for you, and you can put it all together. This segment is brought to you by Work Smarter Digital. If your follow-up moves slower than DMV traffic, it may be time for Work Smarter Digital. Work Smarter Digital gives small businesses a fully built, ready-to-run CRM sales system so you can stop wasting months setting up software and start following up tomorrow. This is your sign. Get the CRM. Get the system. Get moving. Visit WorkSmarterDigital.com to learn more and book a demo. That's WorkSmarterDigital.com. If you're leading a team or organization, you've probably realized this. One training session doesn't change behavior. That's why at SLC, we design customized leadership development programs, not one-time events. We work with organizations to build alignment, strengthen communication, and create leadership systems that actually stick. If your team is ready for something intentional, fill out our organizational interest survey linked in the show notes or visit SierraLearnership.com. That's SierraLearnership.com. If you're considering sending your team to something this year, the question isn't just, will they enjoy it? It's, will it change how they operate when they come back? TSLS is designed for that. Clarity, better decisions, stronger execution. Join us October 14th. Secure your seat at thetsls.com. That's thetsls.com. What gets in the way of stepping into action and gaining that confidence? Well, fear that we're going to make a mistake, fear that someone's going to judge us for our product or our service before we're really confident in what we have to offer. It's comparing ourselves to someone else who seems to already be further advanced than us, though they are on a completely different journey. They started in a different place. They're going to end in a different place, and that's okay. I know with my personality, analysis paralysis, feeling like I have to think of every possible misconception or every possible question someone might ask or every possible strategy that I could recommend or tip. Really just spending so much time on the planning phase that planning never really turns into anything. So that perfectionist part of me or that analysis part of me tells me I need to wait until I'm truly ready. But what I have to realize is I'm ready as it stands today because imperfect is okay. And actually, people find that it's easier to relate to someone who's a little bit vulnerable and shares what fears they have, what challenges are coming up, that it's not perfect yet, and they seek feedback. I have someone right now who is building out an entire new offering, a new service. They've been known for one thing for a long time, and they're really trying to make a pivot and deliver a brand new service under a brand new name. And we've been talking for a while about seeking feedback from others, and we bounce back and forth between, okay, when I go to get feedback from those in my network about how might this be perceived? Does this service, does this offering give people what they need? What concerns are going to come up for them? How can I improve this? Well, before we spend too much time creating all the deliverables, at what point should we just go have the meeting, seek the feedback, and get the feedback before we get too deep in to where we've invested all this time and we actually needed to take it in a different direction? So we have been very conscious of that, very aware of, well, how complete is complete enough to be able to ask for feedback? What are people expecting of me? If I sit down to say, What feedback do you have for me? What are they expecting? Are they expecting complete with all the possible deliverables, and this is exactly what your experience will be like? Or are they expecting it to be just an idea saying, hey, is this something that your business would be interested in purchasing? And if so, what would you want included? What would you need as a deliverable? What would you want the process to look like? So, this to me is just a reminder of publishing the imperfect, right? Or putting it out there, seeking the feedback, making the phone call, and asking rather than just assuming someone's not interested. Applying for the position before you feel like you meet every qualification. Something that I talk to a lot of my clients about is really taking on the responsibilities of the position in which they want to take on. So if they're a supervisor and they want to become a manager, go ahead and take on some of those manager responsibilities and show that you're gaining confidence in those areas before you ever apply for the position. Then you've gained the confidence. You also can speak knowledgeably about it, and you show that you are ready for that next challenge. Volunteering before you think you're ready for something, continuing to practice before you feel totally prepared. So rather than being concerned about what happens if you quote unquote fail, maybe you should ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? What can I learn by going ahead and jumping in and doing it now? In my opinion, you do not fail unless you stop trying. So I usually have a pretty clear definition of what success looks like for everything that I do, right? What am I working towards? What is my definition of success? And I might fall short and I might get disappointed with myself or frustrated with myself, but I didn't fail. In my opinion, I did not fail unless I completely give up and I don't pursue that thing ever again. So every time I pick up my guitar and play, I'm very frustrated with myself. I'm frustrated because I should have never stopped playing. When my grandfather passed away a few days before I turned 13, I set aside the guitar and I didn't want to pick it up again. I didn't see a reason to. He was the person that I played for, that I sang for. That's what I cared about. And then I just didn't want to do it. So then when my parents got me a guitar, I guess I was like, 35, 36. They get me an adult size guitar and tell me to start playing again. 20 some years later, all I can think about is, what if I had continued practicing? How good would I be now? Right? It's like compounding interest, right? How good would I be right now? So when I pick up the guitar, I'm very frustrated because my definition of success is being able to, listen and play songs without having music in front of me, to be able to play chords confidently, to not be in pain when I play, because I haven't used my fingers for so long to play, and the frets actually are painful for me right now. All of that frustrates me, but I've not failed until I set it aside and I don't pick it up again and I stop trying. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you is sometimes just taking one small step is all we need to take to feel as if we're making progress, and the confidence will come. So when I pick up the guitar and say I play 10 minutes a day, well, 10 minutes helps me to be able to navigate my guitar a little bit better. It helps my fingers to be a little less sore. It helps me to refresh my memory on reading music. It's exposing me to different types of music again. So 10-minute gains every day can be extremely powerful rather than expecting myself to sit down, spend an entire day, and be back to where I was. That's not going to work. And so I think in creating confidence for ourselves, it comes down to building consistency and building habits. So I know that a lot of you that work with me when it comes to goal setting and there's that accountability piece, we talk about attaching a habit to something you already do so that you can build on to an existing habit. So that is something that you can do for any little gain that you're trying to make. So if you're trying to make gains with a hobby, like I'm talking about with practicing guitar, or you want to get to a certain place with your physical health. I actually have someone who wanted to get back into exercise, and she said, I am just going to start with 1 minute a day. Well, guess what? Once she gets started and she exercises for 1 minute, she's already in her workout attire. She's already started. She's gained momentum, and she ends up doing more than the minute. And guess what? She gains more confidence every single time in her ability. So she does more and more and more and gets stronger. This is how we build confidence. So, letting things get in our way, like other people's potential opinions of us, which I still struggle with, I probably always will, and most people probably always will. I feel like that does, in my mind, create a little pressure to at least always try my best. So, I try to see it as a good thing. But not getting so stuck in that I refuse to take action, that I refuse to ever try the thing. Because if I didn't take action, I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't have met all the people that I've met. There wouldn't be a summit. There wouldn't be a podcast. I would probably still be in an elementary school classroom. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't think that was where I was supposed to be. I didn't feel that was my purpose. So the habits that had to show up for me to get where I am, to continue to build confidence, is continuing to ask questions, seeking more knowledge, reading more books, surrounding myself with people who I thought were further along than me, who were confident in the area I wanted to be confident in, and asking them questions, seeking to understand, admitting when I make mistakes, and asking for the feedback on how I'm doing. I don't always feel like I respond well to it, and I respond differently based on the person giving the feedback. But I ask for the feedback nonetheless, and I do want to know what people's thoughts are, and they might not all be in agreement. I'm able to decide, whose opinions matter to me and respect those, and really take it and build off of it. I just want to keep moving. One of my habits is just keep moving in the right direction. Progress, not perfection. I know I've mentioned a couple of times the perfectionism workbook. So if you've not listened to a podcast episode before, the perfectionism workbook is a really great resource if you do get caught up in analysis paralysis or perfection in general, to help you really think about why that is, and where you can focus on excellence and where it becomes a problem for you and gets in the way. So I think that the strongest leaders that I've surrounded myself with, when I really sit down and ask them what it took them to get where they were, I realize that they admit that they didn't know it all from the beginning. They admit the struggles along the way, the fears that they had, the comparison that took place. That's stuff that everybody experiences. I just wish we could talk more openly about it instead of believing that we're the only one experiencing it. So I encourage you to, when you make a commitment and you want to grow in a specific area, keep that promise to yourself that you're going to take action even when something gets hard for you, that you're going to celebrate the wins and not just focus on the negative. I am saying this twice because I need the reminder too. Celebrate the wins and not just focus on what you didn't do. I worked this entire weekend on something, and I laid in bed last night. It was Sunday night, and I was extremely frustrated with myself because I didn't get a lot of the things on my list done, but I could confidently say that I worked every second that I could. I was very focused, I was diligent, and did not get distracted, but it still wasn't enough. And when it's not enough, it irritates me. But I needed to celebrate the win of what I did accomplish, and I needed to remind myself of that what I did was enough. And even if I did get distracted, which I totally didn't, that would be okay too, because it was my weekend and I was supposed to be able to enjoy my time and not just focus on productivity. So I encourage you, celebrate the wins, no matter how small they are. If it's 1 minute of exercise, if it's, starting the business plan, page one, right? Or writing page one of the book, or writing the names of the chapters in a book that you want to publish someday, or asking for feedback on something that you've not been confident in the past and you want to see how someone else perceives it. That little baby step. And measure your progress over time. That's in my mind a way to build confidence. If I look back at my entries into my full focus planner, or my little journal that I keep next to my bed, if I look back over time, I sometimes find it comical when I look at the things that I was so stressed about and so inexperienced with and lacked the confidence in compared to today. Like, it seems like I have much bigger problems today than back in the day, but they seemed so big then. So like I said, speaking to a, room full of other teachers back then, I thought I was going to pass out and my voice would tremble and I didn't know how I was going to get through 5 minutes of speaking. And now a lot of times I'll do a half-day workshop in front of a group of people that I don't know, and I have to be confident in what I deliver. So measuring that progress over time, it's not perfection yet. I don't want it to be perfection. I'll never reach that. I will always want to find someone that I believe to be better than me, stronger than me, and hope to learn from them. And then if I don't do something well, I choose to learn from it rather than taking that on as my identity, that I am a failure, that I can't do these things. No, it's just a learning experience, and it's a part of gaining confidence. Your leads aren't ghosting you, you're ghosting them. Work Smarter Digital gives small businesses a fully built, ready-to-run CRM sales system so you can stop wasting months setting up software and start following up tomorrow. Don't leave your revenue hanging. Start working smarter today. Visit WorkSmarterDigital.com to learn more and book a demo. That's WorkSmarterDigital.com. You don't need more information. You just need a way to follow through. Aspire to Achieve is a monthly group accountability experience designed to help you stay consistent, raise your standards, and actually execute on what you say matters. Each month, we come together to make clear commitments, talk through challenges, share strategies, and celebrate progress, all in a space that keeps you focused and moving forward. It's simple, it's supportive, and it works. If you've been setting goals but struggling to stay consistent, this might be your next step. Check it out in the show notes or at SierraLearnership.com. That's SierraLearnership.com. This isn't just a local event. It's a regional gathering of business owners, executives, and organizational leaders from across Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Virginia. If you're serious about growing your leadership or your business, this is the room you want to be in. Join us on October 14th at the Maryland Theater in Hagerstown, Maryland. Secure your seat at thetsls.com. That's thetsls.com. So that's really what I want to share with you today, is building that habit of consistency, breaking down those barriers of comparison or fear or perfectionism, and remembering that you will not be confident until you take action. So take the action. I challenge you to ask what that little baby step is, where if you can just do that one small thing, you can celebrate the success because you are further than you've ever been with it before. What is that thing for you? It's probably something popping in the back of your head right now because you know you've been putting it off for a long time, because you haven't felt confident that you'll do it well, or that others will receive it well. whatever that thing is, commit to taking one small action, and I want to hear about it. I won't share it with anyone else, but I want to hear about that small action you are going to take. Maybe it's a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, but this conversation can unlock a better relationship and less tension going into the office every single day. It can have such a big impact. Email me. Send me an email at info@branchingoutpodcast.com and let me know what that baby step is for you and where you need to gain confidence right now. I want to know what challenges you're facing. It could totally inspire me to do another episode based on that topic. Again, I will keep it anonymous. I will not share who you are, but I really do like hearing from you and what obstacles you're overcoming, where you're gaining confidence, and that you're listening to this and it's helping you or someone in your network in some way or another. So that's your challenge. This time I want to hear from you. If you're listening to this in the car, make a mental note to whenever you get where you are, pause, take 30 seconds to open up your email and shoot me an email at info@branchingoutpodcast.com and tell me that challenge that you're facing and what the small step is that you're going to take. And then let me know once you've taken it, how it goes. And even if it doesn't go as planned, I'll bet that you learn something from it. And the next time you go to take the step, you'll gain a little bit more confidence. If you have not subscribed to our podcast, please go ahead and plan on subscribing so that you can get notifications every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time when a new episode drops. As mentioned, I do want to hear the challenges you're facing, and if you would like me to unpack a specific challenge in Leadership Unscripted with a guest, I haven't done that in a while. I haven't received any challenges from you in a while. So be sure to submit that, and I'll be happy to share, anonymously what challenge you're facing. So myself and my guest, or just me solo, I can give you some feedback on my experiences in that area. I really appreciate and value you, each and every one of my listeners, for taking time out of your day. There are, I don't even know how many podcasts out there, millions of podcasts at this point, and the fact that you've chosen to even spend 10, 15 seconds with me, honestly, I'm honored, and I hope you choose to stay, and I hope you choose to share this with someone else that you think would benefit. Until next time, keep branching out. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for choosing to spend your time here. I don't take that lightly, and I'm really grateful you're a part of this community. If something from today's conversation resonated with you, I want to encourage you to do a couple of things. First, take one small step. Not everything, just one. Growth doesn't come from hearing more, it comes from applying what you already know. And second, share this episode with someone who could benefit from it. These conversations are meant to spark growth, and you never know who might need to hear exactly what you just heard. If you haven't already, be sure to follow or subscribe to Branching Out with Sierra so you don't miss future episodes. And if you believe in this mission, helping people apply leadership skills to everyday life, and you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, I'd love to connect. You can find more information in the show notes or reach out directly. Quick note before we close, this podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. While we share insights and experiences to support your growth, it's always important to apply what fits your situation and seek professional guidance when needed. And finally, I want you to hear this, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you are leading a team, growing a business, navigating change, or just trying to show up better each day, you are exactly where you need to be to take your next step. And you have the ability to positively influence others in every interaction you have. I'm rooting for you. I believe in your growth, and I'm here to support you along the way. Thanks for being here.